Greetings, salutations, and welcome to the 89th episode of Abyssal Musings. My name is Samuel the Infamous, and with me is my partner and co-host, Lawrence Knight.
What's up?
Short and sweet. I like it.
Is
Yeah,
this
and as you
is
can
there any
see,
other way?
right? As you can see, Larry's back. We missed him last week. Glad to have you back on the show, buddy. So
Oh
hopefully,
yeah, guys. So I was quick story about that. I was out of town, and it looks like I'll be moving again. So this is getting funny. I'm starting to feel like a nomad over here.
yeah. I don't know. Maybe you should just do the camper life and move around the country and stream from there.
You know what? That's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea at
You
this
know.
point.
I think I was listening to somebody talk about that the other day. I think it might have been Caucasian Sasquatch, where he was talking about how he doesn't want to get like a camper because then you got to like pull a bunch of shit out of it, but he wants to get like basically just a long trailer and then turn it into a mobile studio kind of thing.
A mobile
So
studio.
I don't know. Yep.
Well, I'll say this. Folks, bear with us because we don't know if it's my internet or Sam's internet or StreamYard's, but things were cool, and all of a sudden, just before we went on, things started acting funny. So we'll see. We might get some mm, ah, eh, action tonight. You never know.
Yeah, something like that. Also, with streaming to Twix, it wasn't working out. Some rules got changed and shit. Well, I did end up signing up for the blue check. I have not received the blue check yet, but as an experiment, I have been to test this out. I have decided I'm going to try and stream to Twix tonight, and it looks like everything's green across the board, and we are live over there as well. So, that's it's fantastic news. So we are live on Twix, Rumble, and YouTube currently. So you can follow.
Hello. Well, I guess it's Sam and not me. Especially since he's now gone. So I'm thinking it's me. I'm in the chat. I'm in the chat typing saying I can't hear Sam. I'm just like, okay, well, I guess the internet's gone wonky because it was going in and out on me earlier. But I guess I was wrong. So let's get down to it, shall we? Sam will be with us in a minute, so I'm gonna go ahead and he's gonna have to forgive me while I do what he normally likes to do, which is, of course, address our illustrious chat. So let's see who we've got here. Of course, we've got yes, the gentleman who's always first. Um, I've never personally met this guy before, but he's always first in my book. He's never late. Um, he's our biggest supporter, and just an all around good guy. So welcome, sir. You are indeed first. Let's see, and we've got a new friend, Toasty with the Mosty 69. Hello, young lady. How are you? Welcome, 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 welcome. Well, who cares about that bump? Anyway, Toasty, welcome again. Thank you for the extra, for the extra engagement. For excellent. Let's see. I love to stay, but I'll have to get it on a rewatch because my girlfriend and I are on float down the river camping trip tomorrow. While tonight we're sitting around the fire. See y'all at work Monday. Cool. Okay. Uh, he's not important. Anyway, let's see. Kohai the Masochist. Hail chat. Hope everyone is having a wonderful night/day so far. Toasty again. Pickle. Yay, Lawrence got first. Nepotism. All right, Pickle. uh, no, no, Kohai. I'm not going to Wyoming. And believe me, Sam did mention that last week when he and I spoke about me moving again. Um, really, I have no idea what's going on. Just we got to a place where I'm at right now, and then my family was like, "We're not coming." So I was like, "Great, now I've got to go back, and we're gonna do something else." And so who knows? Um, don't laugh at his jokes; they're not funny. And the Clue Channel, welcome in. Let's see, who else do we have? A lot of engagement tonight. Be right there, folks. All right, Sam. Well, take your time. It's not like we. No, I'm just kidding. We need my co-host. Oh Lord. Okay, his internet went all together. Atlanta Transparency News. Let's see who watched the opening in Paris today. I haven't seen it, but from what I read, there's already some controversy going on. Not sure. Something about a metal horse or something like that. I don't know. There's no such place as Wyoming. It's actually West Dakota. Welcome back. Sam isn't back. Pickle. Did you not see what the man said? He's gone. We're waiting just some mail. Okay. Well, anyway, folks, why don't we start off with this? So, Sam, unfortunately, is not here to see this, but I wondered, for those of you who may not be aware, there is a certain type of animal that Samuel the Infamous seems to not like for some reason, and that animal is cats. And I often wondered if he himself was a cat, what would he look like? And so, of course, I had to find the ugliest cat that I've ever seen. Um, maybe like Grumpy Cat. Well, Grumpy Cat's not really ugly. He just looks like he couldn't give a damn, which is normally the look on Sam's face. But anyway, um, so I often wondered what would he look like, given his beard and everything, and that cold. For those of you who know what he looks like, that cold stare that he has in his eyes. uh, so I found this. So I've seen this cat before. um, believe this guy, I guess the owner of this cat. Now he has a bigger cat, and I think this is a Maine Coon, and because this cat's pretty big, but he has another one that's even larger than this one. Excuse me. But if Sam was a cat and you caught him yawning, this is exactly what he'd sound like. Let's hear that again. Now tell me that's not what he would sound like. That's not something he would do if he were a cat. That's exactly what he would do if he was a cat. He yawn like that. Oh, well, party's over. Hey,
Oh,
what's up, buddy?
I'm going to kill something. Sorry about
Hey,
that, folks.
hey, we were just showing a video of I was just explaining to everybody about how much you hate cats. And I said, well, if Sam was a cat, he would look exactly like this MF right here. And this is exactly what you would do if you were a cat yawning. That's exactly what you would do.
I would never be a cat in the first place. All cats are bastards. And anybody who's followed this channel for any time, as a matter of fact, the very first live stream we ever did on this channel, there was an entire segment about why cats suck. It's not a great live stream. It's clearly a beginner live stream, but we did do a segment on why I hate cats with the very first live stream that we ever did on this channel.
Yeah. It's a Maine Coon, Andy. Yes, that is the name of an actual real breed. It is a Maine Coon cat. Yes. They come from Maine. They are giant cats. But no, I 100% believe that that's exactly what you would look like. Exactly what you would look like.
Except I would never be a cat.
But you would be a cat.
Oh no.
So you're gonna tell me that you don't look like this. That's not the way you
I
look
know.
at people. When you turn your camera on and I see you, you're telling me that look at the look. That's how you look. That is always how your eyes look.
That
You
is
can
the
tell me you don't
only
look like
thing I'm telling you, the only thing I have in common with cats is that I also hate people.
and the beard and the white beard and a little bit of
Please
color around
stop
right there
describing me.
and the cold look. The cold look. You're telling me that ain't you.
I'm telling you, that's a cat. That's not me. I would never
That's
be a
you.
cat. And if by some freak of nature accident I end up being reincarnated as a cat, I'm gonna be like a trans dog or something.
What?
Because I will not be a cat. Either that or I'll find me a nice little cliff and make kitty pudding with myself.
If the Lord has a sense of humor, and he does, this would be you. that look right
I
there.
also say that all gods are bastards, right?
Yes, I do. Which is exactly why they would turn you into a cat. They were like, "Oh, we're bastards, huh? Okay, here we go." Zip. And that's so you know, here you are with the same cold, intense, dead look. With the long beard.
I just want to bring up something here, right? So this is the 89th episode. We're creeping up on our 100th episode, right? Lawrence and I started this show almost 2 years ago, and it's been a fun ride. It's been great and all that. But I would like to point out that when we started doing this, it was a whole lot less shit on Samuel and a lot more like talking about other stuff.
Well, you know what? It's just you make great content. But you know what? But honestly, I'll admit my conscience has gotten to me a little bit. Now, we do rag on you a lot. Now, I admit that maybe I go a little bit overboard. I don't know. But look, I can take a joke too. That's fine. Look at my avatar.
Sure.
Okay. So I could take a joke too.
Oh,
It's just certain people that I like this. Okay. Let's not give him any more attention than he deserves.
Hi, Andy.
But There's another SOB out there, and he knows who he is. That's not funny, but thinks he's funny. I
Yeah,
am
okay.
not going to say his name, but he thinks he's funny. And folks, believe it or not, those of you who say you get on me, look, I was first before Lord's night. I was first. Eat that, you black bastard. First of all, it wasn't me. Contrary to what most of you might believe, it wasn't me that started the whole first nonsense. It was the gentleman that I was speaking about. And when he started that first nonsense, he also dragged me into it with a series of insults on this show in the chat 6 hours before we started. He started it 2 years ago. Then he went over to another show that Sam and I participate on, and he did it there. And what happened when we got in the back after that show, when me and him got into it? A certain feline was yelling at me and was saying it was my fault.
Yes,
So
that's true.
that is what started. Look, he even got me cussing. I don't even curse off camera. I don't. But every time this one man, every time I think about it, it just brings that out. But those of you, like I said, who when you now you know why when you say, "Well, I'm first before Samuel or before Larry, Lawrence, blah blah blah," and I always say, "No, you're not." It's because you're not the SOB who started the whole thing, and he's the only one that if he does come on here first, that it actually gets on my nerves. And I left him alone for 6 months. Actually, what was it? About 6, 8 months. We had a
I
truce, or
guess.
so I. Well, we had a truce, or so I thought. And then what happened a month ago, Sam? A month and a half ago, he pops up on the show, and he starts doing it again. And then his comments mysteriously disappeared. And then he went on the other show and went in the chat crying about how YouTube was deleting his comments when in fact it was actually me. So, with that said, now see this is that BS I'm talking about. Look at that.
Yeah, I see
It's
that.
not 81 degrees.
Off topic, slight correction, folks. We are not actually live on X. Apparently, I've got to wait for some things to go through for that to happen. So, sorry about that.
Okay. Well, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do us all a favor and help you guys wake up by stopping my story with some infamous news. Tonight, tonight, we have some infamous news. We also are going to the, I'm keeping my word, we're going into the first match of the Monsters Ball that I talked to you guys about, the Monsters Ball tournament that I mentioned 2 weeks ago. So tonight is Pennywise versus Freddy Krueger. And I'm going to leave it to my co-host and you guys after we read the stats, have a discussion, and decide who moves forward and who goes into the losers bracket. Right. Also, you know how we're always saying that we're looking to expand on the things that we're doing, stuff to entertain you guys. So earlier today I found a website that has, you can create your own mysteries for people to solve. So I was like, okay, something else for me to get creative on. But I didn't have a chance to actually dig into the site, but there's plenty of stories on there for us to get into. The website's called 5 Minute Mysteries. So we're going to try that out tonight, and that will be the night. What do you think?
Works for me.
All righty, all righty. So let's get on. Let's get on with the first article. So this lady, right? So this lady took. So I guess she took some. Why people don't just lose weight the old fashioned way, I don't understand. But she took some injections. She injected some kind of weight loss serum into her stomach, and it ate a hole into her, literally.
I mean, that's one way to lose. I guess she did, in fact, lose weight that way. There's less
Yeah,
mass there now.
a lot less. But she paid $150 for fat melting jabs, and it triggered a massive infection.
I'm sure.
So
I don't need to see that. Jesus, it looks like a sideways vagina with a yeast infection.
oh, Julia Lani, 58, told SWNS she paid over $150 for 16 Aquilix jabs across her stomach, but a week later woke to extreme pain and a hole in her tummy. That's crazy.
Yeah. Now, was the hole just in her abdomen, or was it in her actual, like, the organ, the stomach itself? Because if that was the case, then she could have been leaking, like, battery acid, which would have aggravated the wound.
Oh my
Not
God, I
battery
don't
acid,
know.
stomach acid, I mean.
Yeah, hey, let's face it. In all seriousness, stomach acid is not that stuff's nothing to play with. I mean, even your
No, it'll
body has
dissolve
to.
nearly anything. Yeah.
Yeah, even your body has to have a special lining to protect itself from that. So my guess is it's maybe it did do something. My guess is that the jabs, whatever was in it, probably did something to the lining of the stomach at certain points, and then the stomach acid ate through. That's what I'm thinking.
Hey, maybe this sounds like, because it kinda sounds like an extreme, like the extreme, end result of what an ulcer does, right? Because, like, I've had ulcers, right? And essentially what that is that lining that protects the inside of your stomach from the acids that it generates, right? It basically, wears a hole through it, kinda like, I don't know, like the heels of your socks or whatever, which lets everything go right through there, um, and exposes an area of soft tissue to stomach acid, and that's what causes that burning sensation is with ulcers. So this kind of seems like the end result of an ulcer left unchecked, except
Yeah,
sped up.
yeah, and check this out. And not only she says her confidence is lower because not only does she now have a scar, but she didn't even lose any weight. My weight was the same after the treatment, and I've been left with a scar. Why couldn't you just go to the gym?
Because it's work. I don't know. Why do you think they have all of these like insane weight loss fads, especially in places like California and such, right? There's because they don't actually want to do the work. They don't want to go put the work in, and so they're like, oh well, I'll try this experimental treatment that's uh, not been tested at all, even on rats. I'll just inject this thing in my stomach. It'll be fine.
Yeah,
That's how that goes. Like half of these people that do this shit to themselves are, and I don't know this lady. I don't know who she is or what her mental state is or her IQ or whatever, but this is a retarded thing to do.
chemical that's not been approved. Do you know anything about this sodium deox deox choc looks
Yeah,
like deox chocolate?
deoxycholate.
Yeah, deoxycholate.
I I know something about some of the chemicals that are in that name. I don't know about that specific compound. No. Um, that so here's the thing about sodium, right? Like I'm sure you're all familiar with like NaCl, right? Sodium chloride, which is table salt.
Yeah.
The thing is that sodium and chloride by themselves are extremely dangerous and toxic to human anatomy and like physiology, right? They neutralize each other when they come together, and that's why table salt is okay, like why we can handle that. But by themselves, like chloride is where you get chlorine and bleach and that sort of thing from. That'll kill almost anything organic on this planet. Uh, so like sodium by itself is not a good thing, and it doesn't look like it is paired up with the other stuff. Like you just got to be careful with these kinds of things. Deoxy means there's two oxygen molecules. It sounds like I'm not sure what the cholate part means, but I'm not a chemist either by any stretch. But it seems like maybe a bad idea because if if you can't pronounce a thing and you don't know what a thing is, then maybe you shouldn't ingest the thing or
You
inject
think?
or whatever. You know?
Inject, sniff, snort, swallow. I mean, but you know what? I mean, people are people. They're gonna do what they're gonna do. Um, and
Mhm.
that's all I got. That's all I got to say about that. Now, the second one, I thought this was cool because, and I picked this one with you in mind because I figured if Sam went to prom, he would 100% do this. My son went to
Well,
prom inside a body bag.
oh no, yeah, absolutely. I would have fucked with my class.
Yeah, look at this. We turn that music off just in case it's copyrighted.
No, it's a funny story. I went to prom twice.
I've heard that before.
Yeah. But we had what was called a junior senior prom, so you could actually go both years.
Man, we didn't. Man, we couldn't be bothered with our juniors. Once I hit senior, they were like, "Nope." And I didn't go to prom. And the adults, of course, they thought I was nuts. And they were like, "Why don't you want to go to prom?" And I was like, "I'm working that night." And they were like, "Yeah, but why would you want to go to prom?" I said, "I'd rather make money than lose it." Plus, we had to share our prom with three other schools. So I was like, "Hell no, that's a recipe for disaster." I wasn't about to get in the middle of that. I was like,
Mhm.
nope. And sure enough, when I got back to school on Monday, they were like, man, it was cramped because there was so many people there and da 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 da. And I was like, shit, I knew it. That's why I didn't go.
That's some commitment to the bit right there, though, man. Like what they're doing, because body bags are not like they don't breathe very well because they don't have to because the people who are generally inside them don't breathe.
Exactly.
So you get a little bit of oxygen through that zipper, I imagine, because the whole point of a body bag is to make something easier to carry and to sort of like muffle the decomposition. But it's yeah, it's gonna be stuffy. It's gonna be stuffy in there, especially if you're wearing a suit and you're all dolled up. I hope he didn't put too much mousse in his hair because I bet that fucked up his hair a little bit. Just from the humidity from breathing, right?
Yeah, for real. For real. Now, this next one. Now, here are the 30 worst messages to send someone on a dating app. Are you guilty of? Let's see it. Let's see it.
Yeah, I just
Hold on.
What are some red flags that you do not want in your
Oh no, who cares what they think? Okay, that's something separate. That's the only thing I don't like about this site sometimes that the videos don't match the stories, Um, but I was scrolling all the way through, right? And here's a list of dating. Here's the full list of the digital dating deterrents. Send pics, an eggplant emoji. Hey, sexy, what's your number?
Jesus, those first ones, you don't start with those, man. You don't start with those. You lead up to them, for Christ's sake. You wait until
Oh
everybody's on board, and then you go for that.
man, more often than not, I see people sending them to to women they don't even know.
Yeah, no wonder. And I bet that I mean, they're just honestly they're playing the numbers game because, like, say you send those messages out to 100 women, one of those women is going to be like, okay,
Yes.
it's just there is a kind of a cold math to the whole dating app
Yeah,
thing,
but
but
she might be an axe murderer. That's the problem.
yeah, she could be, or just riddled with like syphilis. You know, it just, but you don't start out. Those are not, like even the cheesy pickup lines. Like if it's clever enough and you get a laugh out of her, right? It might start a conversation rolling like an icebreaker or whatever. But this is not the way to go about this. It's
Yeah.
just not.
Look at this. Do you like bad boys or girls?
Nobody
Without
says no
me,
to do you like bad girls? Come
yeah.
on.
Without me, when you say you're going to take a shower.
Yeah, that's look, it's funny in the right context, right? And it can even be cute. But if you're just saying that to somebody who's messaged you exactly one time, right? Then don't do that. It's not
Yeah.
good.
Here's another one. You're so hot. You're so hot. You're
Like,
so sexy. This one's not so. I mean, this one's very simpish.
I'm just going to impress you with my ability to not be able to spell or use punctuation correctly.
You mean like this one?
Yeah.
Poor,
I don't even know
poor.
what that means.
I don't either. Did it hurt when you fell from heaven?
That is like the oldest, dumbest
That's
fucking
what.
pickup line on earth. It never works.
Hey, quick story on that. When I was 13, there was this one of my mother's coworkers. I had a crush on her. She was like 23, and we were at the skating rink, and I like rolled over in front of her. And I tripped right in front of her on purpose, right? Just so she would help me up, and she was like, "Oh my God, you're okay." And she would help me up, and I fell for you, babe. How about a date? Man, I never knew a woman could throw a slap so fast in my life. Before I knew it, I was back on the ground. And she did it right in front of my mother too. My mom was like, "Hey, you asked for
Right.
it." Let's see. I think my Spotify is broken. You're not listed in the hottest singles. I've never heard that one.
That's actually kind of fucking funny.
Yeah.
Like, if some chick said that to me, I would laugh and I would respond because that's actually pretty funny.
Hey, how about this one? What you wearing?
Yeah. Yeah, that's just bullshit there. Yeah.
Does your mate on your profile pic have Instagram?
What? What? What the hell does that? Does that mean that you're hitting on the other person in the profile pic?
Yep. Hey, excuse me. Can you tap your significant other over there and ask them
Look,
if they're single?
I'm gonna say
Yeah.
this right now. Like, I know negging is a thing, but it's a bad thing. Don't do that shit. You know?
DTF is definitely one. That's not
Hey,
gonna help you.
now there is something to be said for being upfront about what your intentions are too, though. So like maybe don't put it exactly that way, but if that's all you're after, be clear about that right from the get, because you're going to save everybody a lot of time and trouble if everybody understands clearly where you stand. I will say that.
Yeah, but also understand that even politely being upfront might get you sent to the ER. Anyway.
No, yeah, but you take a risk that just like saying hello to somebody in public sometimes. So I mean, whatever, that's part of the
Yeah.
risk.
Hello,
But
DTF.
but I would say, phrase it differently. Don't use like crude little fucking internet slang, like
Yeah.
that. So
Okay. Let's see. Imagine what our children would look like. Hey.
hi. It's like, I think you're in the wrong chat, buddy.
Yeah.
It's pretty
um,
gay.
I have serious codependency issues. That's dangerous said anywhere.
That's okay. So obviously you want to be honest with whoever it is that you're courting, generally speaking. However, there is such a thing as dumping too much information right from the get-go. And I mean, I appreciate the honesty, but I don't want nothing to do with that bitch.
Okay. Why are you single?
You just okay. So that one is common, and it's intended generally as a compliment, but it's a backhanded compliment because you're also implying that nobody else wants them. Even if that's not your intention, that's what they're hearing.
I can understand that. How about this one? Tell me why I should go on a date with you.
That's narcissism 101.
Yes, it is. Hey Sam, you up?
Yeah, you only say that to an ex at 3:00 in the morning when you're drunk. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I know a few friends that have had that happen to them. Hell, I know a guy years ago that did that to a chick who had just broken up with a mutual friend of ours. Like
Mhm.
earlier that day, they had broken up, and that night, that fool was at that girl's house
Yeah.
trying to get with her that night. Let's see. Morning, beautiful. Okay. I wouldn't say
Yeah.
that's it
That's not
depends.
that bad. It's cheesy, but it's not really that. It's not insulting. You're giving a compliment. You're saying hello.
Right. Right. Clue said he used 19 and it worked. You up?
Look, I have too. I'm just not saying that it's a good like thing to say to just anybody at any time. You know? Read the room first.
Yeah. Yours or mine. Now that's something I can see you saying.
That is not the beginning of a conversation. That's the end of one.
Yeah, it is. Hey, what's up?
Yeah, that just shows them that you're retarded.
And that's old. That's so late 90s, early 2000s.
It wasn't funny then either.
No, it wasn't. You're the girl boy of my dreams. That's just cheesy. That's just... And in these days, how many people are really going to believe that?
Well, here's the thing about pickup lines. They're not always a bad thing, but you don't want and yeah, some of them are classics. But the thing is they're classics for a reason. They've been overused for years and years and years, right? You want to be original, but you want to be complimentary, and you want to be not crude, be as clever and as funny as possible, right? While kind of maintaining that you're not just joking around, you actually have an interest. And this is difficult to do. There's a reason most pickup lines fail. It is actually very hard to do this. And not all pickup lines work on all people. Some will work on some people, and some will not work on others, right? Some people will respect the effort, and some people will laugh in your face. It is what it is. It's always a risk talking to anybody. So if you're going to use a pickup line, you might as well go all out and try to hit them with something that they haven't heard before 100 times.
I've never heard this.
Yeah, I have, but only on internet memes. Nobody actually says that unless they're in some fucking Twitch streamer hot tub chat.
Yeah. Even Andy's got a good one. Should I text you in the morning or nudge you?
See, that's actually kind of funny, right? But again, that's not the kind of thing that you lead with. First you break the ice, and then you have some small talk and shit like that. And if things seem to be going well, then maybe, if you're joking back and forth, but you both, clearly have an interest, you hit them with something like that, and you see where that takes you. But, that's also something that you could always play off as a joke too, and salvage something.
Right. And then look, and then Beat comes in with the buzzkill, and then Aaron goes, "Hey, good evening."
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's giving out instructions, and Aaron's sticking up for it.
I mean, like I said, sometimes the cheesy classics work on a person because they appreciate that in a person. Somebody who's willing to put themselves on the line with something that's clearly a line.
Yeah. Speaking of that, let's see. Can I add you on Insta, Snapchat? That doesn't belong on this because that's
basically asking for a phone number or asking if you can give your phone number. That's just like, hey, can we stay in contact? There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I could get lost in your eyes. Now that's like
save that one for when you're both very drunk.
Hey, let me tell you something. If I said that to my wife, she would say, here's a roadmap for you to get away from him. Oh, now here's one. What you doing? When texting somebody at 11 o'clock at night, what you doing? What the hell you think I'm doing? I'm trying to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's you don't do that shit. I mean, again, unless it's 3 a.m. and it's your ex and you're drunk.
Yeah.
And then do it away, because you can always explain that away by saying, I was drunk, I don't remember last night, even if you do.
Yeah. And of course, look, this time they got it reverse. You're the boy girl in my dreams, and then thanks for not unmatching me. Now this right here, that's creepy. Creepy.
It's thanks for not unmatching me is not as creepy as it is pathetic. that shows them right off the bat. He's like, you're coming in looking like thinking that you're doing the self-deprecating humor thing, or thinking of just letting them know that you've been rejected over and over and over again. That is not a good thing to start out with, because it shows an extreme lack of confidence. And women, frankly, are not attracted to unconfident men. It's
That's true.
just a fact.
Fire emoji? Nah, I don't think so. I think that's fine. Dancer
That
emoji.
depends on what you're doing it with. I mean, if you just start the conversation with a fire emoji, then you're just like, well, what the fuck does that mean? But if they like post a picture or something like that, you know, and you're just like, oh, that's really cool, and you put the fire emoji on there, that's fine. So,
Right.
yeah.
Now, this next one, Sam. This next one. Ooh, this next one. Folks, you thought that I wasn't going to go there like I do every week with the news, didn't you? You thought it was going to be tame. Well, this one is 13 sharks test positive for cocaine off the coast of Brazil.
I bet they just swam around from Colombia.
Probably. All the wild Brazilian sharp-nosed sharks tested in a new study had the drug in their bodies, but many questions remain about cocaine's effects on aquatic creatures and the humans who eat them. That's a damn good question.
Yeah, I'm surprised PETA's not all over this shit. I mean, I know it's an American organization, but still, because they'd be just like, where are we testing it? Because they are. So they might have discovered the cocaine in the sharks, but the whole testing of them to find out what the effects on them and all that shit, there's going to be animal rights activists who are like, yeah, you can't do that, you know, and all that shit. And it's like, I mean, how else are you supposed to find out?
Yeah, but I understand where they're coming from too, because I mean, you're releasing these things back into the wild, and then somebody's catching them, and then, you know, even if it's not shark, somebody's catching them and eating them. You don't know what the effects is doing on you as well.
Sure, but I mean, it's cocaine, you know. I would imagine,
So what? It's like
honestly.
when you're cooking shark, it's like adding salt.
No, what I'm just saying is just like, we know what the effects of cocaine are on the human body, right? Whatever they are on the shark is kind of irrelevant, because if you ingest cocaine, however that is, it's going to have specific certain effects that are well documented. We know what it does to people, right? It is really about the amount, and I would imagine that the amount that's found in these sharks is actually pretty minuscule, you know, or they would be dead.
Maybe. I mean, it also depends on how much of it did they eat. What's the effect of the, you know, I mean, it's the ocean, so what is the salt water doing it to it? Is it filtering it out? I mean, there's a lot of questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, and like I don't know. It's so growing up, I lived near a lake in Colorado, and you could go like catch and release fishing there all day long, right? There's a bunch of trout and some other stuff in there. But it was strictly catch and release. And this was not like an animal rights thing. This was because all of the fish in that lake were tainted with some small amount of refined gasoline. So they didn't want people taking them home and eating them because you could get sick.
Right.
You know, kind of thing. So that's, I mean, yeah, I could see where this could be a problem. Yeah. But again, you'd have to know what the amount is. And if the shark's alive, you're probably going to be okay. You might get a little bit hyper or some shit like that. But cocaine also doesn't affect you in the same way when you eat it, because like we were talking about stomach acids, it can take care of a lot of shit. The same way as it does like putting it up your nose or freebasing or even like injecting it, kind of thing, all have different effects. How you take in the cocaine is almost as important as how much.
Right.
Not that I would know that from experience or anything.
So these sharks were relatively, I mean, 20 inches long. That's not small.
Well, I mean, it's less than 2 feet.
Yeah. They were male. They were okay. Well, I don't care about that. It's just, I mean, not what you said. I mean, about them being male and female. It's just one to look. Yeah, he was zooted. He was zooted. Look at that look.
Yeah. It looks like it said 5 of the female sharks were pregnant, and I think that the more interesting question is what kind of effects does it have on the young, right? Because that might very well signal you know, like a change in them. I mean, if they survive, they may not. You know, but sharks also eat their young, so I mean, like, what kind of life expectancy do these baby sharks really have anyway?
They snorted through their gills and cut it with their dorsal fin. Even to Kohai to have some stuff. Oh, by the way, just sidebar, guys. Just so you know, next week we will have another nice quiz. Now, this one will be vastly different. There's not gonna be any videos in this one. I don't want to risk any channels coming down or anything like that. But this one will be different. But it will be entertaining. I already have some tricks up my sleeve, some things going on. So next week will be fun. Anyway, getting back to this.
So, my I guess I'm in the same place these scientists are. I kind of want to know what the effects are going to be because different species react to different chemicals very differently from each other. For example, there's a reason that we use certain rodents in testing, in lab testing, because they have very similar reactions to things that humans do. The same kinds of shit that gives us cancer also gives mice and gerbils cancer. You know, and that sort of thing. But there are other animals that react very, very differently, very opposite to the way we do. For instance, I don't know if any of you guys out there have ever had a bit of bud growing and a cat in the house, but it's like catnip to them. They cannot, like, they see a little bit of the green there and they will eat the whole thing. And they react to it like they're on fucking meth. They're sped up. They're running all over the place. They're literally bouncing off walls. Whereas if you were to give them certain kinds of chemical uppers, right? And I'm not saying you should do this. Nobody should ever do this. This is animal abuse, right? But if they somehow got into some chemical uppers, right? Cats tend to have the exact opposite experience that humans do. In fact, they kind of go comatose. So like it's because they're very physiologically different than we are, so they react differently to the chemicals. Dogs, on the other hand, tend to react a little bit more like humans do to certain things, right? So I would be curious about this because fish aren't even mammals, and so I imagine it'd be very different for them.
Yeah. Now, my next one, this last one for part 1 of the news, and this is before we go into we're gonna follow with Monsters Ball next. Now, I'm not gonna scroll down any further than this, and there's a reason for that. I will say this: I'm not a judge of people who, maybe they're an object of some kind that they have that helps them to cope with trauma or anything that they're dealing with. But these things, these sunny angels in particular, and I don't know if you've heard about these things.
Not at all.
Well, this is the first time I've heard about them tonight. But the 3 figurines that you're looking at, these 3 in particular, 2 of them are naked from the waist down. And if you're wondering if they are anatomically correct, they are.
Well, the one with the New York City hat looks a little bit like Sam Smith.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
Yeah. So it was just for me is why are you making dolls, little figurines of naked babies, basically naked children?
Pedophiles were on everything.
Yeah, and these are supposed to be for their emotional support dolls.
Mm-hmm.
Now the one on the far right, now she's clothed, and there's one that's closed, but the other 2, the one on the one on the left and the one in the middle, yeah, they got nothing down there. Andy, to answer your question, you can tell who's a boy and who's a girl. Like there's like a little nub down there. I mean, you can if you've ever, those of you who have kids and you've seen your kids when they're babies, that's exactly what it looks like. That's why I'm not
So
scrolling down.
so there was there is a toy collection for girls that's been around for a few years now. I forget exactly what it's called off the top of my head. My ex-wife buys a shitload of them, bought a shitload of them for one of our kids. Um, and they're I want to say they're called brats, but I don't think that's
Yeah,
accurate. I think
brats.
that's a different thing than what I'm thinking of. Because these are all like little ghetto hood rats. You know, they've got all kinds of bling and shit, and their hair's done up in like weird fucking flashy styles and stuff, and they're wearing like the kind of stuff that you'd see people in I don't know, like if Simon Phoenix from Demolition Man was, you know, 5 years old, like that kind of style, kind of shit. Then all their clothes are interchangeable. All their bodies are shaped exactly the same. They come from out of the same mold. But one thing I did notice early on is that the female dolls have, you know, like a hole at the bottom, like a lot of plastic toys do, you know, like rubber ducks and stuff. You can squeeze them and they suck up water and you squirt the water out and all that stuff. And it's just part of the molding process to get that. Except that it's located pretty much exactly where a vaginal canal would be. And the males have little molded testicles right next to that same hole. And these have been around for years. God, I wish I could remember what they were
Well,
called.
like Direwolf says, sounds like the Bratz dolls from the 2000s.
Yeah. So it maybe it is Bratz. I don't recall. It might be, but I thought Bratz were like preteen or teenage like dolls or whatever. But yeah, Andy, yeah, this isn't that same kind of thing. That whole deal, the whole baby doll that Pete thing was about getting little girls ready, you know, to be excited about growing up to be mothers and shit, and like taking care of diapers and stuff. It was realistic in that sense. That wasn't, I don't think, on the same kind of thing. But this is like, and you know, when I raised the issue with my ex about it, I was like, "What the hell is this? Why do they need little plastic junk? Why can't they just be smooth like Ken dolls or whatever?" And she was like, "It's not that big a deal, you know. It's fine. It's not that big deal." Now, keep in mind, my ex-wife is an extreme progressive, you know, so she doesn't see problems where I see problems, right?
Right.
So yeah, and so this kind of thing, this seems like kind of the next level of that, but essentially by having them like dress inappropriately or doing that kind of thing, it kind of gets kids used to the idea that you know, inappropriate things happen, and you know, that way they're you know, it's this is a grooming tactic, is what this is, you know. And as
That's
far as the
exactly
Gen
what it
Z
is.
collectors are doing it, I mean,
Oh, I'm sorry.
you gotta keep in mind that Gen Z has been subjected to the most constant media onslaught of the sexualization of children for the last 20 years, right? And it's really ramped up in the last 5. You know, so this is kind of what a lot of them grew up around, right? This is all they saw on TV. These, you know, this is, you know, so they don't see necessarily it is wrong. I also think this is why we're seeing pedophiles come out of the fucking woodwork these days, all over the
Oh
place.
yeah,
And in
because
fact,
it's being more normalized, and they can feel like they can come out the shadows now.
well, not just that, but I mean, people are getting caught left and right. Like, why are there so many of them? For first of all, you
Yeah,
know,
no,
like
for
where
real.
the hell how did this happen that there are so many of them? Like
Famous
Washington
people
is
left
rife
and
with them.
right.
Not just famous people, but yeah, and then there's fucking at least 10 YouTubers have been fucking caught with this in this year alone. 2 of them recently, right? One of them, Chris, what's his name from Mr. Beast, just very recently, and then Dr. Disrespect a couple weeks ago. You know, I mean, they're fucking everywhere, and this I think is a part of that. You know, on kind of a ancillary level. So
Yeah, it's getting crazy. It really is. It really is, and it's fun, and it's good that you say that because I thought it was just me, but I've been noticing like every day I look at a news report or something. I'm like, another damn pedophile.
yeah. Yeah, they're I mean, you know, and the worst part They're everywhere. They are everywhere. Like I said, 10 YouTubers this year alone have been caught inappropriately messaging or hanging around or saying things or sharing pictures with minors. You know, and I'm just yes, Kohai. That's exactly it. It's the LOL dolls. Thank you very much. Those are the ones I was referring to, not Bratz.
LOL dolls.
Yep. Yeah, that brand right there. Yeah, it's very. It's kind of like they use like rap culture to kind of mask what they're really doing, right? So they apply a lot of that stuff to essentially toddlers. You know, these dolls are supposed to be toddlers, but they're all walking around with their big ass shades and their fucking bling everywhere, and they're giant like sippy cups of fucking mocha cappuccino or whatever, you know, and they're molded in a specific way. You know, so it's just I find them upsetting. I wish my kid hadn't been exposed to that. It wasn't really my choice. So, yep. Hey, Jacob. Yep, absolutely. Oh, yeah. I had forgotten about that. You dip them in cold water too, and it shows a very unsavory type of clothing for being a kid's doll. Yeah, that's right.
Wow. Yeah. Now I
had forgotten
really
about
don't
that.
want to see them. Now that you speak about, now that you bring it up, I have heard of LOL dolls, but I never,
Mhm.
you know, I was like, well, I don't play with dolls anyway, so
I have daughters, man. I know all kinds of stuff about certain toys that I wish I didn't. You know, I know who Twilight Sparkle is, man. I fucking hate My Little Pony. Yeah,
What's up, Jacob?
I did see the video for that. I don't want to watch it again, but I did catch that. Yeah, no, it's kind of a big deal. Yeah, and the guy you're talking about, his name is Alex something or other. Yeah, he's I follow him on Twitter. That's all he does. He's like this 23-year-old dude, goes around fucking doing the Chris Hansen thing, getting people to admit on tape that they're messaging kids, and they're you know trying to meet up with kids with like fucking sex toys and shit, and then when they admit it, he calls the cops. You know, and then presents them with the evidence, and these guys usually end up getting arrested, which is good. He's doing good fucking work. But this most recent one, dude, when the cops showed up, he locked himself in his house and offed himself. You know,
Well, you figure
and,
he probably figured that his passing was going to be much worse in prison.
I don't
'Cause
think he was
went
thinking
to
that far
Phoenix.
ahead. Honestly, I really don't. I don't think he was thinking that far ahead. I think he was just like, "Fuck, I got caught. My life is over," and then you know, boom. But I don't think he thought anywhere near as far ahead as prison. Yeah. Yep. Nambla. Nambla is evil. It's pure fucking evil. And actually, a lot of people wouldn't even know they exist if it weren't for South Park. Just putting that out there. So, no, Aaron Laura, no brony conventions. I am not a brony. Speaking of a fandom that's rife with fucking pedophiles, you know. So yeah, these guys, they like some of these guys are really, really into My Little Pony, and that's a different thing. But some of them are into it, just like there are a lot of Minecraft YouTubers and what's that other one, Roblox YouTubers,
Yeah.
who are really just using that shit to get close to other people's kids. You know, allegedly, I guess I have to say. So, but yeah, it's what's the term that's trying to normalize it? Oh, you mean MAP?
Yeah, map. Minor attracted
Yeah.
person.
Yeah, I don't use that term. I prefer my own term for them, which, well, I have been saying the one that, you know, YouTube doesn't like me to say because guess what? YouTube protects pedophiles. But it's my personal favorite term for them. And they do delete this when I put this in chats, by the way, on YouTube. It just, nobody sees it but me. Subhuman child fucking degenerates. That's my preferred term for them.
Yeah, I can see why they delete that.
I don't give a shit, man.
It's true. It's true, but yeah, yeah, I can see why they delete that. All right, moving on. Monsters Ball. Monsters Ball. Sam, I know that you know plenty about Pennywise. I brought this up. I kind of got this together. This, of course, there's different websites on Pennywise. You can go StephenKing.com. I'll pull this one from villains.fandom. Uh, now, I think you can explain better than I can of who it really is. I mean, now nobody, of course, nobody knows what he really looks like. We just imagine, or I guess our brain kind of works whatever way that they could try to make sense of what he is, unless he's wants to appear to look a certain way, like a werewolf or the clown or any of the other things that he looked like. If I remember correctly, isn't the deadlights basically what he is anyway?
Yeah, it's like spheres of mesmerizing lights that are like indescribable. They fill you with kind of this paralyzing feeling, kind of thing, and then it devours you from your fear, kind of thing. But yeah, its true form is not something that's easily comprehensible by the human mind because it comes from what Stephen King refers to as Todash space, which is the space between universes, the darkness between
Right.
kind of thing. So yeah, yeah, it's kind of hard to describe. There's a reason that it doesn't really work well on screen.
Yeah. Now here's something that's interesting, and I just caught this. He's the secondary antagonist of the Stephen King mythos. Actually, I take that back because I think
That's not
Randall
true.
Flagg. I mean, I don't think it's true either. But maybe the person who wrote this is thinking of Randall Flagg, because Randall Flagg, there's
Mhm.
different iterations of him in different stories. Albeit, if I'm not mistaken, I believe he is. There's another. He's confused sometimes with, or it's been suggested that Randall Flagg is Andre Lenoge, but I think they're two separate people.
Well, so Randall Flagg is human, right? He's been empowered by the Crimson King, and he is a sorcerer, and he does walk between worlds, and he does have different faces. I mean, for a given value of human, obviously, in like the Stand, he's a lot more like the Antichrist than he is like a man. But he's not the Antichrist, by the way. If you read the Dark Tower series, the Crimson King has an actual son. That is what ends up killing Randall Flagg. Um, but uh, but yeah, now it is a part of the main connected mythos, right? It's definitely a part of that. But in the overall, it really only appears in the novel. It's referenced in a handful of other things, and there's a creature that they say that King has said is another creature of the same race, I guess you would call it, named Dandelo, that appears in I want to say the Drawing of the Three, right? Which is another creature like this one, can appear any way it wants, except that this one feeds on hysterical laughter and not so much fear, right? Um, but neither of them, while they serve chaos and they serve the Crimson King to a point, right? They also serve themselves, and they're not as involved, as hands on as somebody like Randall Flagg is, who is the sort of mortal agent of the Crimson King, who can't enter all worlds because he's kind of stuck at the Dark Tower, kind of thing. The Crimson King, of course, being the main antagonist, who again, like Cthulhu in the Lovecraft mythos, only actually appears in a handful of stories. He's just referenced everywhere else. Sorry, I've read a lot of Stephen King. Sorry.
No, no, no. That was excellent. You gave me exactly what I was looking for, because I couldn't put it into words. But I know that you've read more of Stephen King's works than I have. Um, so let's look. This thing has a ton of powers, man. High level intelligence, manipulation, intimidation, trickery, or skills, I should say. Um, Disguise, cunning, charisma. Now here's the superpowers: spatial temporal lock, absolute immortality, absolute regeneration, dimensionlessness, incomprehensible form, okay, deadlight manipulation, madness inducement, coma inducement, death inducement, eternal torment inducement, fear empowerment, soul consumption, mind absorption, avatar creation, fear based shapeshifting, illusion generation, perception, manipulation, excuse me, manipulation, dream manipulation, telepathy, telekinesis, superhuman strength, superhuman speed, superhuman reflexes, superhuman stamina, biology manipulation, necromancy, life force. This thing is stacked with powers, man. Spatial manipulation,
I it
technology.
it
Go ahead.
is a cosmic horror entity. It is on a
Right,
level of like something like a Cthulhu. It's not like what the Losers Club encounters in the book as children and again as adults is only the part of itself that is even extended into this reality. It's not the whole thing. They can't destroy the whole thing. It is true. It is absolutely immortal.
right. So it's kind of like
Yeah, they can only destroy its protrusion. And yeah,
the Marvel creature Shuma Gorath, where he's so powerful in his own dimension. You can't even touch him, and he's so powerful that he can only get just a little tiny bit of himself into our world, and even then, just that little part is incredibly powerful. So that's what it
yep.
sounds like to me.
Shuma Gorath. Yeah, Shuma Gorath is actually a another Lovecraftian ripoff. As a matter of
Right,
fact, its original name, I think, was actually one of Lovecraft's creations, but they didn't get away with that, so they changed it to Shuma
right.
Gorath. I don't remember which one. It might have been Nyarlathotep, but maybe
And
might have been that
that's
one.
weird. That's weird that they didn't get away with it though, because didn't Lovecraft, didn't he intentionally want his stories to be used by anybody?
Yes and no. So like his yes, he kind of like laid that out, and he didn't really go after people or whatever. But he'd been dead for about 10 years when Shuma Gorath was created, and I imagine that his wife, who was in charge of his estate at that time, probably said no.
Mm. Well, if it wasn't in his
So
will,
yeah,
but yeah. So we have a incredibly powerful cosmic being. Is there anything else that you want to say about him?
he's a dick. He's a giant dick. The reason that he goes after children is because is not because necessarily children are the tastiest morsels that it can go after, but it's because they're the easiest prey. It's because
Yeah,
they believe in things that adults do not believe in, and they are easier to instill fear in. That's why it goes after children,
right. I mean,
like a
but you know
pedophile.
what? Yeah,
Actually,
any predator is going to go after the easiest prey that they can find.
Mhm.
Uh, Now, this guy wrote, who's this? Elena. Okay, so it's not a guy.
I mean,
So
these days.
yeah, the deadlight. So the deadlights are pure evil energy. The deadlights originate from Todash space. Exactly what you said. The deadlights
Mhm.
have a hypnotizing effect on humans. If a human stares too long at the deadlights, he or she will go insane or die. Bev come close in it. Well, she comes close to it in the 80s part two, but its main power is shapeshifting. Would you agree with that?
I mm, no, I think that that's certainly one of its most commonly used tools, but that's just because it's like camouflage on a hunter, right? And the shapeshifting is what generates the fear. It responds to the emotional state, and so it is not truly telepathic. Like it can't just like read everything in your head, but it can skim the surface of your mind and sort of like pluck shit at random,
Hmm.
right? And fears are always like right there and easy to read right at the top. And so like it skims your mind, it sees what you're afraid of, it takes that form. right? Or it creates, like they're saying, an avatar of that form, because the true thing, the spider form, which is again just another form that it took, the deadlights are not located on the surface. It does not come to the surface. It sends out kind of these creations that it puts like a piece of its own consciousness into in order to interact with the rest of the world.
Makes sense. The red balloons work. So apparently they can be multicolored. Bill Skarsgård, who I think did a great job. Nobody's ever gonna touch.
Sorry, man.
Wow.
Aaron Laura has been a fantastic addition to our chat. I'm just saying.
Aaron and Kohai, man. Even Pickle has his moments. All right, but can it die, Sam? Can it die?
No.
What about that turtle that's able of that cosmic turtle that's his mortal enemy?
Well, if you read the book, by the end of that book, the turtle's dead. It ain't doing shit. It choked on its own vomit.
Oh, okay.
It's not going to be of any help to anyone, because they actually do appeal to it at one point, and there is a guiding hand that they feel, but the guiding hand itself is never revealed exactly what it is, except that it's very similar to the will that was guiding the good people in the stand, like almost like a creator or a god kind of thing. But the turtle itself, that they do appeal to the turtle, but no, he's fucking dead. And it's sort of, the turtle is again just kind of how people perceive it. It's one of, I think, 14 different guardians of the pillars that hold up the Dark Tower, right? And it was the last of them that was still living, because all the others had been wiped out, and their pillars or their columns had been destroyed and all that. Which, if you read the Dark Tower, there's only one of them left, and as soon as that comes down, it's really complex. There's a bunch of shit to this. There are these psychic dudes called breakers who are using their mind powers to chip away at these things. It's across different worlds. It's weird. So the turtle itself is, while it is a threat to beings like it, is not, by the time that the Losers Club figures out that they need to, appeal to this thing, it's already dead. It can't help them. The thing is that it doesn't know that either. So, kind of thing. And it would be afraid of things like that, because it is a force of kind of chaos, right? Of disorder. Whereas the turtle is one of the several beings who were forces of order and rigidity, and that sort of thing. It's less good and evil and more about chaos and order. Although there's goodness to be had and evil to be had and all that shit, but it's a little less defined than that, because it's on a more cosmic level than how humans perceive it, kind of thing. And I guess what I'm getting at is, again, like, what we see in our world is not the totality of what it is. It cannot completely exist in our dimension. It can only protrude into it. So whatever part of it is in our world can be destroyed, because that is the rules of our world. All things here are mortal. All things are subject to death. But
yeah, so it has to follow the rules of the realm it's in,
right,
so
but
to speak.
because it's not 100% in this dimension, right? Whatever exists of it outside of our world is not subject to those rules. So you could kill the manifestation of it that's in our world, but you're not going to destroy the being itself.
Right.
If that makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense. All righty. So let's do this. Let's switch. Let's switch to the man himself.
What do you mean, Andy? Like Dagon and Mother Hydra? Because they were pretty cool. I mean, they're basically big fish people, but still.
Yep. Dead child. You know what? Call me stupid, but well, yeah. I never thought about that. The kids, when the kids that are singing the Freddy Krueger song, those are his victims.
Yes. Those are his victims from before he died. Like while he was still alive, when the parents took their revenge on him and burned him alive and all that shit. Those are the first victims that he had. Yeah.
Ugh. This dude, man. Frederick Charles Krueger. So, what do we know about Freddy Krueger? Now we know that he's you could almost say he's a kind of Randall Flagg because he was a human that was empowered by three demons. That's where his powers come from. It's not from him. They were given to him by dream demons that reside within him. Am I correct by saying that?
Yeah. It's kind of, yeah. So they took his soul out of hell and they essentially made him into a dream demon. Right. He's not exactly a ghost. He's not exactly just a haunter or anything, because obviously if you're afraid of him, he can affect you very, very much in the real world. Right. I
Right.
mean, that's how he kills his victims. He scares them in their dreams and then he's able to hurt them. And whatever he does to them in their dreams translates to their actual bodies outside of the dream. And so he's no longer human. Right. Obviously, he's not alive, but he's not human at all. He exists solely in the dream world unless he's pulled into the waking world, which happens a bunch of fucking times, and then he gets his ass kicked every single time. But you know, but in
Well,
the
yeah.
dream world, he reigns supreme. He controls it. He is like the ultimate lucid dreamer.
You
So
know, well, this is a point I'll bring up later. I've noticed that if you notice with each movie, of course, the only reason why he was defeated in each movie, to keep it simple, is plot armor or lack thereof. You know, but they couldn't stop him the same way each time. Each time it had to be something different. You know,
yeah.
um,
Well, yeah, because he'd learn from it. You know, he didn't. You know, he'd remember what was done to him before, and he just wouldn't put himself in a position for that to work a second time.
right.
You know,
Hey,
that
remember when when Nancy's dad and somebody else, I think it was two of them, like they went to go dig up Freddy's bones, and he animated the skeleton. The skeleton whooped the hell out of both of them and he beat
that
them
was in the
both with this.
second one, wasn't it? Freddy's Revenge.
It was a third, was it? No, it was the third one.
No,
It
well,
was
the
the
third
third.
was the Dream Warriors, and that one is a little. That one gets a little trippy,
I
right?
could have sworn it was no what
Because
because
Nancy's an adult in the third one, and she's
yeah,
counseling these kids that he's
that's
coming
what I'm
after.
saying. But
Okay.
her dad, while they were in a dream fighting him, they weren't gonna win. The dad had to go find the bones and bury them because remember, no, I'm trying to remember. They had to go to that junkyard. And
Hmm.
because that's where the parents left his bones, but they had to bury them to leave them to create an opening, and it didn't work because he
Right.
animated the. And that's the whole thing, though. How was he able to animate those bones against two people who are awake?
Mm. Yeah, I think probably because they were afraid of him. Would be most likely. But
Maybe it's
also
the
it's
adrenaline. I don't know.
possible that it was just badly written. Some of the middle movies are not good.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, and he's beating people in the dreams that weren't afraid of him.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
I
so
think
I think I think it's not. So his strength comes from fear, but I don't think it has to come specifically from you. Like in Nancy's case, she is the protagonist, right? So as long as Nancy was more afraid of him than the other, like if you go back and you watch the original one, when Johnny Depp's character gets killed, right? He's not bothered by this at all. He's taking it all in stride. He's clearly not afraid of the dude all that much. And then what happens to him is largely, I think, due more to the amount of fear that's present rather than whose fear it was, because Nancy is terrified of Kruger at that point.
Right.
Not to mention
So
all
it's
the parents who realize that he's come back, but they will not talk about it. But that doesn't mean they're not still generating fear that's feeding him.
right, because it was explained in Freddy versus Jason. If nobody was afraid, and that's what they figured out, they stopped
Mhm.
talking about it. They stopped
Yeah.
warning people about it, and he was like, "Well, if nobody's afraid, I have no power. I mean, yeah, he could exist in dream world and stuff, but he's just a dream at that point. He can't kill. He has no effect on
Right.
them."
Right. And like even if you watch the interaction between him and Jason, right? Jason kicks the loving shit out of Freddy, even in the dream world, until Freddy finds out what he's afraid of and exploits it. Until that
Yeah,
moment, then the tide turns. But up until that point, nothing he does bothers Jason. Right. And so like there was a lot of he had to make Jason specifically afraid in that, and some of this is retconned too. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't exactly jibe if you watch all like 8 movies or whatever. But
yeah,
like
yeah. He
Freddy's Dead,
did.
The Final Nightmare is retarded, but
Yeah, yeah. He did. He did, Andy. I think he called himself the Dream
Mhm.
Master or something like that, and he still got beat up.
Well, the Dream Master was Freddy, but yes.
Oh, he was calling himself the Dream something. I can't remember, but I remember the kid was in the wheelchair. Remember, he made that demon looking wheelchair and ran him over with it.
Yeah. So, yeah, there was kind of less stuff. There are a couple of questions actually a little earlier, Chad, I want to address
Okay.
real quick though. Andy was asking earlier, I haven't read it, so don't know anything to call to Battle Cthulhu or his ilk. So if you read Lovecraft, that's kind of the point, is that there is nothing you can do. Nothing. You were too insignificant to have any effect on these beings whatsoever. If they notice you, you're probably toast. Most of them you're too small for them to even care about, like a gnat, right? The whole thing about that, if you read any of Lovecraft's stories, all of the protagonists either commit suicide or they go crazy. None of them are able to defeat these things that they come across. Not once. It does not happen. And so the horror doesn't come from what these things are so much as your insignificance and inability to do anything about things that are so vast and beyond you. Your even your inability to comprehend and understand these things. That's where the horror lies in those stories. So like Cthulhu does get defeated in the Call of Cthulhu, but again, it's just a psychic emanation. It's not his true self, because his true self is in the void, which is in a different part of the multiverse that is inaccessible to humans, kind of thing. So, and the other thing was D-Day. What kind of criminal was Freddy when he was alive? He was a child murderer and pedophile and necrophiliac. Like, he absolutely deserved to be burned alive.
Yep.
He was the worst kind of criminal. They were a little more direct about it in the remake, which I think you mentioned here.
Yeah.
But a lot of that shit was implied in the original one. They just didn't say it, point blank like that. So yeah, Aaron Laura, the worst kind. So anyway, that's it. I just wanted to address those.
No, that's cool. So let's check his powers and skill. On their man, I tell you what, ever since I've gotten older, I haven't been able to catch words as fast. Damn, this TBI. But I'm sure you can catch what that is.
I got to zoom in here. Hold on a second.
One eerie
okay. Onario potens.
Venereal potence.
It means he's all powerful in dreams.
Okay. Superhuman strength, superhuman durability, endurance, great fighting skills. Well, no. Freddie wasn't that great of a fighter, too. I mean, I mean, he was really strong, and he had the super strength in his dreams, of course, and that gave him the edge. But yeah, when he was fighting somebody who knew what they were doing, he had to pull some tricks out of his sleeve because he started off getting the hell kicked out of him. Um, I can't even read a lot of this. If it feel like a sisters nightmares, so controls nightmares. Okay,
Mhm.
and so
That's actually
kinesis.
that word Ephialtes kinesis
Yeah,
is so. Did you see 300 or
I did. Ephialtes, yes.
Ephialtes? Yeah. So when Leonidas curses Ephialtes and he says, "May you live forever," which is a curse to Spartans, right? In fact, the worst of curses.
That's why
He,
Ephialtes looked at him the way he did because he knew what it
yeah,
meant.
because he just had his heart broken, even though he just betrayed his king and all that shit. He was like, I can't believe, oh fuck, I'm really fucked now. The thing is Ephialtes did live forever in terms of his name. He was a real dude. And this is where I don't remember exactly. This says here nightmare control. I don't remember exactly what Ephialtes means in modern Greek, but it's something similar to nightmare. Um, give me a second to just look it up because it is kind of an interesting little
Yeah.
tangent. So
Well, and the Spartans, they all strive for a beautiful death. So Leonidas was like, "May you be robbed of a beautiful death. You have no
yeah,
honor." I mean, what he said it was so profound to a Spartan.
yeah. So it literally means nightmare,
Yeah, nightmare control.
um, which is something that yeah, he was cursed to be remembered because his name was applied to something that was fucking awful.
Yeah,
For all of time. We still say his name today, even if we don't remember where it comes from.
yep. Exokinesis, which is reality warping, environmental control, intimidation, combustion, elasticity, yeah, pyrokinesis, possession, duplication, high intelligence, charisma, trash talk. That trash talk supposed to be a superpower.
Yeah, but
High
he's real
speed,
good at it. So,
yeah, high speed, sharp reflexes, enhanced agility, superhuman stamina, precognition, life manipulation, manipulation mastery, size manipulation, trickery, summoning, resurrection, intangibility, flight. They're literally naming everything this man has ever done in every movie. Time
right.
manipulation. Like when he put
But
them
those
when
are,
he put those two kids in a time warp.
yeah. But those are all of those powers apply solely to his domain in the dream world. They do
Yeah,
not translate to the real world at all. Even
exactly.
even the super strength and all that shit. There's a reason he gets beat by the shit kicked out of him by teenage girls. You
Well, he
know?
got what happened to him it happened to him in that one girl. There was that one girl, that blonde, that he just could not beat. It was in four. She was in the fourth one and the fifth one, and after the fifth one, he just left her alone.
Hmm.
He just left her alone. He was like, "F that," because he went after her son too. And I was like, "Man, that's stupid, dude. What do you? If you can't
Yeah.
beat this girl, she's a mother now. What do you think is going to happen after that?" Weather control, shape shifting. So I get the point that you're saying. What I'm trying to do is I'm saying if the circumstances were right and these two were able to be in the same place and use these powers against each other, who would win? That's this is more of a what if, not oh well, he's only in the dream world, so we are. I'm not trying to do that. Otherwise, but I think because I would agree with you, unless he had the power to make well, Pennywise does sleep, so unless he could enter or that projection of him sleeps, what is it, for like 25 years at a time, the same as the creeper. He sleeps for like 25 years and then wakes up. So unless he can wait until it goes to sleep and then try to jump in its dreams, which I don't even know if he could do that to something that's that powerful. But then again, the losers club were able to find a way to beat him. So I have to assume that it's possible. So here's where the debate comes in. What do you think? If the circumstances were created that these two could go head to head, or we could say first, okay, could Freddy go into its mind while he's sleeping? Yes, he's a cosmic entity, but as you said, he's a projection, and he is subject to the rules of this realm, which means he can be killed. So, because it's plausible to say that Freddy could enter his mind where he could potentially have the upper hand? What do you think? And I just noticed that Sam is gone. Because I was looking down. Oh man, now I feel stupid. So I'm looking down and I'm looking at something else, and I look up and Sam is gone. That is hilarious. I swear he did this on person. He did it on purpose. And now I'm gonna have to repeat all of that because I have no idea how long he's been gone. Because I wasn't even looking at the screen when I was talking. Give him a minute. Look at this. Got booted again. Don't laugh at me. Don't laugh at me. Well, Chad, I guess I'll have to leave it up to you. Yeah, for real. It will be an interesting fight. So I'll just give my opinion. My opinion, if we add all this up and Freddy's powers are demonic, I would have to say that if Pennywise is awake and moving, Freddy doesn't stand a chance. He doesn't. If it is sleeping, then he's got a chance, because if he's got a chance if he does what he did to Jason. If he could figure out what makes it afraid, what makes it tick, I would say it wants to eat. It's hungry. It doesn't want the kids to know how to beat it. It doesn't want them to have an advantage. So if he's asleep, I got to give the edge to Freddy. If Pennywise is awake, Freddy doesn't stand a chance. So the question is, which way do either of them have fears? That's a good question, Andy. Freddy, I think Freddy in part 5 did have a fear. His fear was his mother. His fear was his mother. He did not want her. He did not want her anywhere near him. So his fears, it changes, because he adapts with each loss, with each defeat. He adapts and he comes back stronger. So you could never kill him the same way. So what worked in a previous movie is not going, or previous time is not going to work the next. Um, and I agree. D-Day. Pennywise is just an avatar. It could be destroyed, but the lights could possibly enter whatever dimension Freddy exists and possibly take his power. That's a good point. Unless he can figure out what it is afraid of, now I have to look at that. I think I'll have to give it to Pennywise, because unless Freddy can get into his dreams and figure out what he's afraid of, you missed.
Okay.
You missed the whole thing. I'm just talking. I didn't even know you were gone.
Yeah, I caught that. I do have the stream running on my phone so that I can
Gotcha.
type in if I get booted out.
I was doing my best to try to present a decent case for Freddy, but I think D-Day and the others, I think they're right. Maybe Freddy could enter its mind, while it's sleeping. I mean, it's just the avatar, but something tells me even if he could enter that avatar's mind, um, he's gonna get overwhelmed really quick. He's gonna get demon powered or not, he's gonna get overpowered really quick.
That's kind of what I'm thinking too. Because you remember when you first brought this up a couple weeks ago, and I was just like,
Yeah.
there's, at the end of the day, even though Freddy's no longer human, he's still, his mind still works on a human level, like street level, whereas it works on a God's eye level.
Right.
Like sees a lot more. So when it's confronted, when Freddy is confronted with the magnitude of the mind that he's dealing with, it might break him.
Yeah, I think it would, and honestly, I think he would try to jump into its mind. I think it would zap his behind with the deadlights, and I think it would be over.
Mhm.
Him and those dream demons. I think they would all get caught up.
Yeah. So, but it's an interesting exercise because I think Freddy probably would have the advantage over individual avatars of it. Especially in any kind of like physical altercation in the dream world or otherwise. It would probably because you'll notice that the avatars of it don't actually take a hands-on approach. They don't really touch the kids like ever.
Right. They just
Except for
try to
that bit
scare 'em.
where Georgie's arm gets pulled off. Yeah, but I mean, there's not a lot of like actual tactile anything. It's because number one, they aren't really there, and number two, um, they're just constructs. They're not like fully fleshed out physical bodies or anything like that. So they're not probably not particularly sturdy either. So Freddy would probably tear through them like fucking tissue paper, but the mind of the thing behind them would be the real threat to Freddy, as we were
Right.
saying.
And Freddy has his fears.
Yeah, well, it does too, but what it fears is on its level,
Right.
or
Something that
higher.
Freddy can't fathom. So, and
Yeah.
his mind is too powerful for Freddy to try to manipulate it. So, yeah, I
Mhm.
think I think Freddy's DOA.
Yeah. I can imagine him pulling a muscle or something, trying to replicate one of its fears. That'd be pretty fucking funny to watch, actually.
Yeah.
If he turns into the turtle, that would be
Something turns into. You know what? It probably would have been a better fight. Would have been Freddy versus Randall Flagg. That might
yeah,
have
I
been
could
more
see
of a
that.
fair fight. Um, but yeah, no, I think we can call this one in Pennywise's favor. So Freddy will go into the losers bracket. Deal.
Sure.
Alrighty.
I mean, I kind of agree with you. And like I'd said a couple weeks ago, I don't really think this is a fair matchup, but
No, it's not. It's not. So I'm looking at tonight. So the 5 minute mystery. I think we're gonna say that's next week. We're just gonna do a gaming thing next week. Because I wanted to kind of tinker around with it a bit. Because we're getting towards the end of what I wanted to. Actually, we are actually out of time, because I wanted to give you a time because I know that you're going to be on Beelzebub, and the rest of the articles aren't really. They're okay, unless you want to read about the rattlesnake.
I don't want to read about the rattlesnake.
I thought not, but yeah, the rest of the articles are they're just interesting articles that I found. I think that the main ones were the ones that we read, but the others were yeah, they were okay. You know what? There is one. There is one that I want to show you guys. Now, I'll give this person an A for effort. Realistically, I think they were probably high when they thought of this. So a swipe is an all-in-one phone. This is the phone. So So what this thing does is, so it's a fitness tracker, it's a vape, and it's an actual phone. So
I have one question. Does it take points off when you use the vape?
you know what? It's according maybe I don't know, but according to this thing, it's got I mean, hold on. It's got Bluetooth. It's got a Bluetooth connection, long lasting power. Right. Find your phone anywhere. Right. Call, text, notifications. Personalized. Three wattage settings. Gaming apps. Swipe.
I mean, that's retarded.
So the thing is, as I read, you have to download. There's an app that you have to download to enable this thing to make phone calls. So it doesn't innately make the phone calls. You have to download it. The
You know what's
interactive.
fun about that
So the advice
is
sorry, go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. Well, I was just gonna say that the when you have to download apps, that's digital property, right? That's digital property that you're probably paying a fee for that you do not own, that can be shut off or taken away from you at any time. That's what this is for. The vape shit is just to get people to buy it.
Yeah. The interactive device costs around $20 and comes pre-filled with a variety of flavors, including blue raspberry, gum mint, pina colada, pink burst, and effing fab. Okay. It's filled with 5% nicotine juice, has 3 strength levels, and claims to last up to 30,000 puffs. But the single use and disposable product doesn't just appease your nicotine addiction, it also satisfy your desire to stay connected. So these are just so that they're throwaways. They're not meant to,
It's like Kohai said, all it's missing is an attachment that'll blow me.
a pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah, so but it can connect to several apps like X and get text on its touchscreen by connecting to your phone via Bluetooth. So this is stupid. It's just siphoning.
The whole thing is retarded, man. The whole thing is, yeah.
The one thing the phone can't do is make calls. To connect the device to their phones, users need to download an app on their primary phone called Wearing OS. This is stupid. It's been described as janky and very buggy by a Business Insider reporter who tested the product and complained that the technology and design didn't meet the requirements for a reliable cell phone. Of course it doesn't.
It's not janky. It's not buggy. It's jittery from all the nicotine.
Exactly. They come up with a weed one, a weed swipe. The damn thing is gonna get a case of the munchies.
I'm sure it will, and it'll probably have DoorDash on there, so you can feed those munchies.
Yep. However, with the swipe vape phone, will likely help users maintain their vaping habit. Some users hope the product will help them to disconnect from their social media phone, but it's not going to do that because you can access that stuff. Some Gen Zers are ditching smartphones and becoming obsessed with old-fashioned flip phones from the 2000s. We don't take our regular phones out anymore. Everything that leads to us having a bad time stems from our phone. Explain 18-year-old influencer Sammy Palazzo in a now viral TikTok video, which has snagged 13 million views and counting. However, the swipe vape phone doesn't seem to be the best alternative. Yeah.
Dude, you'd be better off with a fucking BlackBerry.
You would.
Or I mean, everything about that is designed to be some kind of financial trap.
Yeah.
Right. Right. I smoke I'm terminally online, and I wouldn't buy one of those. Just if that means anything to y'all out there listening, I wouldn't touch it with I wouldn't touch it with Larry's dick. That's all I'm saying. You know?
I wouldn't touch it with my dick. That was just the silliest thing that I've seen. Oh man. Well, with that said, guys, I hope that you enjoyed tonight's show. Please forgive me if it's not the best that we've had, but I wanted to try to take things a little bit different today. I'd like the conversation with the verses, but the more I thought about it, the more I should have thought about it. More Randall Flagg would have been a better first pairing for Freddie. You know,
I think it was a good start, though. We're and like really the point is conversation. So
yeah. So, well, like I said, next week is game week, so we will have another night's PowerPoint quiz, but it is going to be completely different. There won't be any videos, so you guys don't have to worry about being stuck watching those 12-minute videos or anything like that. I have found better things to do. We are going to have topics and things from a variety of different sources. I might even sneak in a quick fiction story like I did with the last one, or not. I think I might just keep it straight and then just try to do that. I'm going to check out this 5-minute mystery fiction thing and see how that goes. But I definitely got some great ideas for next week's quiz. I think you guys will like it, and it's definitely going to be challenging, and it won't get anybody's stream cut off. And the way I'm doing it, even if it's, guys in the chat, I mean, your participation is always granted. It's always wanted, and we always appreciate it. And thanks, Andy. I appreciate you, man. But yeah, we're definitely gonna next week's gonna be a fun one, and then Sunday I'm getting on the plane. But other than that, Sam, what you got going on coming up this week?
Well, in about an hour and 40 minutes, I'll be over on Beelzebub. The naming convention is fun, but sometimes it's difficult to remember which one I'm referring to. The channel Beelzebub for the show Beelzebub. We will be having Toasty as our guest tonight, so that should be interesting. I haven't met her before, so I'm looking forward to that. We'll be back with Screaming Into the Void tomorrow. I'm hoping to have some topics that are not politically related, but I don't think that's going to happen. So here, it is what it is. But we'll see y'all then, 4 p.m. Mountain Time, and then on Monday you can find me over on Adam the Renaissance Nerds channel for Mellow Monday. Otherwise, like Lawrence here, you can find me always when Amira goes live on Exiled Lioness 2. I will be in the chat, and occasionally she pulls me up on the screen to swear for her like she did last night or the other night. So, yeah, that'll be fun.
All right, guys. And like Sam said, you can catch me in the chat as a moderator for the world famous Exile Lioness 2 channel. Thank you guys for joining us. We will see you
Fuck
next
you, devil.
week.
Fuck you.
same double, same bad time, same bad channel.
Have a great night, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Well, I say every day it's a getting closer to taking a bath with my fucking toaster.